This is how WoW became unstoppable. The description is WoW has lasted 20 years in a world where every other quadruple A game barely make it a month. So in this video, I explore why that is. It's a great thing to explore. It really is. Like, New World comes out, it's wildly successful for a few weeks and then falls off, right? We had WildStar, kind of similar things happened. We have Throne and Liberty, there's Lost Ark. Like, you kind of just see this like massive boom with other MMOs, and then they kind of just fall off. WoW has just been kind of hanging in there this whole time. I guess more than hanging in there for most of it. And then for some of it, hanging in there is probably a fine descriptor. See what happens.
Retail WoW is dead.
Yeah, the world of Warcraft is dead.
World of Warcraft is dead.
WoW is dead.
No one plays World of Warcraft.
Stop holding on to it.
WoW is just actively getting worse.
World of Warcraft is one of the longest lasting and most popular games in the world that people couldn't get enough of.
World of Warcraft, I need to play!
Yet since it released, it's been predicted to fail year after year after year.
Make WoW great again.
But how can a game that got...
When I was playing WoW in like 2010, I thought for sure it would be dead within 5 years. And when I was playing WoW in 2015, I thought for sure it would be dead in 5 years. And when I was playing WoW in 2020, I thought for sure it would be dead in 5 years. And like, we are in 2024, it's almost 2025, and like we're still playing WoW. Like, it's crazy to wrap your mind around it, right? It's kind of nuts.
Got 10 expansions in 20 years, over 12 million people's credit cards to play every single month, and the world's biggest Hollywood stars, completely addicted, be dying.
On the topic of your World of Warcraft obsession, at what point did you realize that you were in too deep and needed to quit cold turkey?
When my agent would sign on to talk to me.
According to the sales, World of Warcraft was far from dead. So I wanted to learn how it was somehow able to survive decades while newer quadruple A games could barely make it a week. I mean, this one didn't even make it a day.
The crew is gathering. Would you like to join us for game night?
But to find Blizzard's real secret, we'd have to go back to the beginning. Actually, that's probably a little too far back, isn't it?
Yes.
1 second. There we go. But obviously, this isn't World of Warcraft. And that's because to truly understand WoW, we need to talk about EverQuest, a massively multiplayer online fantasy game that Blizzard employees couldn't get enough of. See, for most of us in the 90s, multiplayer meant split screen on GoldenEye, no odd jobs allowed.
Yeah.
But EverQuest didn't feel like multiplayer, it felt like a home. Which gives the guys at Blizzard an idea. You see, they were such huge fans of EverQuest that they could see all the problems the game had. For example, if a player died, they'd have to walk all the way back to their body without any of their gear to protect them. Or, if they were killed by another player, that player could take one of their hard-earned items to keep forever. And regardless of how the player died, their experience would drop for every death. Meaning if you put yourself in a tricky situation, you could lose hours, if not days of experience.
Well, I mean, here we are playing hardcore WoW in 2024 and 2023, and you play a character for hundreds of hours and then hopefully don't get disconnected.
So while developing Warcraft 3, Blizzard decides it's time they craft their own MMO. It'd be a new world filled with wars that they could call their own. Sure, some folks called it strategic inspiration, but most folks called it... Now at this point, Blizzard's just released 3 of the world's greatest games within half the time Grand Theft Auto 6 has been in development. Look, I don't know what was in the water at Blizzard, but it was clearly working. Because when you saw a game with this logo on it, it basically guaranteed you were getting a Ratatouille moment. And World of Warcraft was no different because everyone was playing it.
We're fans. I am an orc shaman, and Tom is an orc warrior.
You see, Blizzard's really good at one thing most game developers seem to ignore. Where everyone else seeks to over-design new concepts or ideas, Blizzard does the exact opposite, seeking to simplify what already works.
Really opening up what had been a relatively niche genre to the broader audience of gamers from all walks of life.
For example, in World of Warcraft, players were split into two morally gray factions of Alliance or Horde, with each faction getting their own playable races, building on the tribal nature humans already have. You see, for the Alliance, you could play as night elves, gnomes, dwarves, or humans. Whereas the Horde had cows that turned to cats, religious hulks, Jamaican avatar people with tusks, and what I could only describe as people who comment skill issue. You know who you are, but they go
Wait, is that shade at undead players? Are you kidding me? Undeads are the best. If you're a rank 1 player, you're probably like an undead rogue mage or priest. Like, yeah, undeads own. That's why we play undeads. You get out of a fear. You smoke noobs. It's probably just a skill issue.
Further by fixing every problem they found in EverQuest so that their game would be as accessible as possible for anyone to play.
You can't go to the bathroom, you're stacking Sunder armor.
Iconic Warcraft characters would be interacted with to gain quests that subtly progress players through new locations. Dying was no longer a scary nightmare of penalties because you could be returned to your body as an invincible ghost. And mounts were provided to make going from place to place the greatest thing ever. But that wasn't all, because WoW built in social features from the start, so raiding a dungeon or making friends was as easy as possible. Hey! However, with all that success came a few problems.
A lot of those first months were spent really just trying to keep up with demand, just trying to stabilize the service to get to a point where players could just come home from work, log in, and not have to wait or not have their servers be down due to load.
Because unlike their previous games, World of Warcraft was a 24/7, always online world millions of people were paying to work every single month, including really powerful people like Superman.
You were home, but you were playing World of Warcraft, and the phone rings, and you're like, I'll get that later?
Yeah, unless you had a few kryptonite bullets hanging around, downtime was not an option. Yeah.
I still remember like when I started getting into WoW and RuneScape a little bit before WoW, my dad would always tell me to pause the game so I could go and do my chores. And like, I remember being, you know, like a 10 or 11 or 12-year-old at the time, and I'm like, Dad, I can't pause it. There's other players depending on me. I'm in the middle of a raid. You know, I can't pause this. This is real time. You know, it's crazy.
Now, for context, this game took 8 years, 169 people, and
then he says, I could pause it for you, and then pulls out the power plug, so.
We said earlier, barely made it a day with the backing of $1 billion Sinister Six obsessed company.
What?
So to keep up with new content, maintenance, customer support, and bug fixing, the WoW team had to be massive. But no, because somehow they made the entire game with 40 people. 40. So naturally, Blizzard employees were feeling a little pressure. Sure, a massive world with accessible gameplay players could socialize in was part of the reason for World of Warcraft's longevity, but keeping the game up and running for millions of people to play any second of the day? Yeah, that seemed like something they needed to solve.
It's kind of ironic that the reason we're watching this video is because there's server downtime from 7 a.m. all the way to like 3 p.m. and I can't log in and play, so I'm forced to watch videos. You see what I'm saying? It's crazy.
After 3 exhausting years, Blizzard hired a ton of new devs, fixed a ton of problems, and now morale's a lot higher. Sort of. But with this expansion, Blizzard's feeling confident that they know exactly why players loved World of Warcraft. Because with the Burning Crusade, they add 2 new playable races right out the gate. High fantasy blood elves for the Horde and what look like space goats for the Alliance. The game gets the level cap bumped from 60 to 70, and flying mounts are added for the very first time.
Yeah. We had to figure out how to let characters fly.
Except what's most interesting is Blizzard does something new that pushes the game to the next level. You see, Warcraft 3 was beloved by everyone who played it, specifically because of its story and amazing characters. So in this expansion, they bring back one of those amazing characters, Illidan frickin' Stormrage. I mean, just look at that guy.
Legendary.
He looks frickin' goose-tastic. But that's not all, because
Okay.
they also make getting to the expansion's new zone a historic event. You see, this was back when World of Warcraft...
Oh, it was historic, all right, man. The servers crashed. You tried to go through and you'd get disconnected. You try to log back in. Now it says like you're stuck on connecting, and then you finally got in and you couldn't move because there was too many players. And then you waited for an hour or two and you could move, and you pick up your first quest to kill a mob, and the mob has already been killed by 500 other people, so you can't actually kill the mob. And then you finally kill one of them, and you realize you have to kill like 10 or 12 of them, and you have to loot something on a 10% drop chance. So basically, yeah. That's what happens. And you get ganked by a level like 63 rogue who didn't sleep from the night before.
Warcraft was a full-time job. So the day that the expansion hits,
great.
players from all over the world collectively take a sick day to gather around this portal, the Dark Portal.
What are your symptoms?
I have the chills, I'm feeling nauseous, and my head's killing.
And the beauty of the Dark Portal was the second that the expansion released, it'd be open for everyone to experience at the same time. It didn't matter if you were a blood elf or a space goat. Everyone was going to Outland to stop Illidan and the Burning Legion. Quite frankly, when the Burning Legion hit store shelves, everyone's 9-to-5 job went through the same existential crisis.
I'm in danger!
Because it sells 2.4 million copies in the first day and hits a new mile.
Bro, I remember sitting there in my middle school English class, and my teacher was yapping about I don't even know, some type of like nouns or verbs or something. I can't remember. All I was focused on was logging into TBC that day. All I was dialed in on was leveling up my paladin, because I made a pally back then, and I was just like, oh man, I can't wait to get home. And she just kept yapping. It was crazy.
Milestone of 10 million actively paying subscribers. Look, I'm no mathematician, but that seems like a lot of what Mr. Krabs would call money. Somehow Blizzard topped the original World of Warcraft in what looked like every way possible.
There was more to do, more to earn, more to seek, more to explore.
From the outside looking in, it looked like World of Warcraft would be safe so long as it focused on expanding the world with great characters players could rally towards. But if that's really all it took, then the real question was, could they do it again? Yes, okay? 1000% yes, like it's not even a question. Releasing a year after the Burning Crusade, Blizzard triples down on everything that worked before. First, Blizzard drops a CG trailer that's quite frankly a better movie than what most streaming services put out today. Like, it's been over a decade since this thing dropped and I still go back to rewatch it. Next, they go back to Warcraft 3 one more time to make Arthas the expansion's next.
One of the things that I find fascinating to think about is like golden eras, not necessarily specifically for gaming, but for like anything, right? You think of like bodybuilding, and you think of like the golden era of bodybuilding, and it's like, oh man, I wish we could go back. Like, it was just so great, right? And you think of like rock, like the golden era of rock music, and it's like, oh man, like why can't we recreate something like that, right? Or you think of like the golden era of MMOs. It's like, man, this was just great. Like, it all happened in like a span of, 4, 5, 6 years. And then it's just like impossible or seemingly impossible to replicate that experience, right? It's an interesting thing to talk about. It's okay, buddy. I think
Ex-villain, who, just to be clear, is Warcraft's most popular character by far.
Probably the greatest, most notorious villain ever introduced in Warcraft.
And that's because in Warcraft 3, you got to play as Arthas and watch him slowly transform from a humble prince.
My wife's with him, guys. I think he probably is just upset about something. Maybe, yeah, maybe she took his spoon or something. I don't know.
Reigning in chaos.
Can the formalities, Uther. I'm not king yet.
To the Lich King reclaiming his frozen throne. Like, seriously, the story of Arthas is pretty much Breaking Bad, but in the Warcraft universe.
Someone says he's upset the servers are down. Yeah, that must be it. All right.
You're goddamn right.
Wrath of the Lich King wasn't just another expansion. It was Blizzard proving they knew exactly why players love World of Warcraft. But don't just take my word for it.
Wrath of the Lich King
is probably my favorite expansion.
Like, straight up, without a question.
Is the best.
The classes are way better.
Version.
Just infinitely more fun for me to play.
Of the expansion that ever came out.
Yeah, Wrath was an awesome time.
And I mean, who could blame them? There was just so much love in this expansion.
It was an honor to be able to come work on the team to help shape the game that I'd loved for so long.
Because they add this new Death Knight hero class any faction can play as, a more custom.
Chat, what is your favorite expansion WoW has ever launched? You can say classic if you want as well, like the vanilla experience. Go. I'm seeing a lot of TBCs. I'm seeing a lot of Wraths. A lot of Wraths and TBCs. A lot of Legion. Oh, this is some Legion. Some Legion and some Mop. Someone said Cataclysm. Okay. Okay. The way I think about it is every expansion has good and every expansion has bad. And like Wrath was a really, really good time, but it doesn't dismiss that it also had a ton of dumb things in it as well. And I think people have rose-tinted glasses when it comes to things like this. You forget the crappy things of the past, right? I think every expansion has pros, even the more recent ones. I think the more recent ones are actually like pretty decent examples. Like there are really, really great pros when it comes to like quality of life or like features that would have been great back in the day, but it comes with a lot of cons too, right? So
customizable dual specialization skill tree to help players build their character exactly as they wanted.
It started as, how do I save action bars? And it turned into what it is now.
And build new phasing technology so everyone could immerse themselves seamlessly in live cinematic quests.
This revolutionized the way people...
All right, everyone in the chat wants a poll. Fine. Let's pause the video. Let's bring up the Twitch chat. Okay, we're gonna do a poll. Mid-video. /poll. Best WoW X-Pack. Classic, TBC, Wrath, Kata, Mop. Wait, there's only room for those. Should I get rid of Kata and put Legion? Because I feel like who's gonna vote for Kata? What if I do Mop and then Legion? Or I could take Classic out, sure. WoD. Okay, TBC, Wrath, Kata, Mop, Legion. I think that's probably good. Is anyone really gonna vote for WoD or like Shadowlands? Okay, let's do this. Straw poll. Let's just do a poll, like this one I can do more. Create a poll. Best WoW expansion. Okay, so we're gonna do Classic, TBC, Wrath, Kata, Mop. Crap. Legion? Wait, what was after Mop? Was it BFA then Legion? No, WoD. WoD, Legion. Then BFA. Then Shadowlands. Then Dragonflight. And then... What's our current one? I'm not looking at chat. Hold on. Dude, it's one of these moments. Warthen. Gosh. Okay, dude, that's too many. All right, did I miss any? I think we're good. I think that's good. That's all of them. Change poll type. Ranking poll, multiple. Oh yeah, ranking poll. Good idea. That's all 11. All right. Create poll. Your admin rights are temporary. Yeah, it's chill. All right, right there. I'll just spam it 1 to 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 20 times. See it. I'm gonna not open the poll on stream just for a second because I don't want to make the results bias in any one or direction or the other. Can you link the poll? Yeah, here you go. All right, we're going to give it like 30 more seconds. We're going to click the poll. We're going to see the results, and then we're going to keep watching the video. I'm going to guess. Should I guess what it is before I look? I'm going to say at the top for the best expansion. Ooh. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to guess the order. Hold up. I'm going to guess the order. I think it's going to be Wrath, TBC, Legion, Classic, Mop, Kata, and then all the rest. Let's see. Classic? Oh, bro! That's crazy! Oh my god, Classic's on top! Classic, TBC, Wrath, Kata's this high. Wow. I thought Legion would be way higher. Mop, Legion, WAD, Wait, is this exact opposite? Wait, is this in perfect order? Classic, TBC, Wrath, Kata. Wait, am I tripping? Wait, bad poll? Wait, hold up. What did I do wrong? It's a ranking poll? Wait. I don't know. What did I do wrong? There's points, guys. There's points. How is this a bad poll? Hold on, explain to me. This has 4,400 points. This has 4,200 points. I'm so confused on why this is a bad poll. It's fine, chat is low IQ. You can't vote, you have to rank them. Oh, wait. Oh, that's actually kind of smart, though. A ranking poll means you have to rank them yourself, and most people put Classic on top. Most people put TBC. So it gets points based on when you ranked them. Wait, that's even better. This is a great poll. Repoll? Oh my gosh, guys. That I think that's a great way to do the poll, honestly. But I didn't know. Okay, fine. Classic, TBC, Wrath, Kata, Mop, WAD, Legion, BFA. Forgot the E. Shadowlands, Dragonflight, Warthin. Okay. So instead of, so I just do multiple choice then. I just do multiple choice. Okay. Please enter a poll title. Best WoW expansion. Wait, why is that? That's a fine title. Twitch Prime. Let's see if that'll work. Okay, yeah, that worked. Okay, so let's do a new one then. Fine. Let's go. Everybody vote. Everybody vote. Everybody Twitch Prime. All right. But okay, this is actually interesting though, because this isn't the exact order. But maybe, okay, maybe the poll style did mess it up. So we'll give it 30 seconds and we'll look at it. Drops enabled, refresh. Yeah, they should be enabled. Are servers up? No. No, I don't think so. No, negative. They're not up. Where's my poll? Where did my poll go, man? Okay, here we go. Here's the poll. All right. Show results. Okay, this is what I thought. Wrath, very high. Legion, very high. TBC, or TBH, but you guys know what I mean. Classic, very high. Mop, very high. This is kind of what I said. I didn't say this exact order. I think I said Wrath, TBC, Legion, Classic, Mop. So I had like the top 5 I had right. Like, people love these expansions. Whoa, Warthin is really high up there. Warthin is people's favorite recent expansion, more than Dragonflight, BFA, WoD, and Shadowlands, and Kata. Wow, that's impressive. That's actually pretty impressive. Recency bias, that might be somewhat true. Might be somewhat true, but still impressive. All right. Recency bias, wait 6 months and it won't be. I think there's Yeah, I think recency bias is a thing. Absolutely. I think if we waited a few months, yeah. People are already starting to be a little more pessimistic about the expansion than they were like a month or two ago when it came out. Let's see it.
People played the game, and it remains a linchpin of the game for the past 10 years.
And all this combined made Blizzard's biggest expansion ever, selling 2.8 million copies in just 24 hours and driving WoW subscriptions to an all-time peak of 12 million people.
People are picking up their purchases so they can race home and plug in the game. Chances are this is the last time you're going to see them for quite a while.
Like, for context, that's more than the entire population of Sweden, okay? Which clearly implies that Blizzard's got a lot more money! But Blizzard creates a new problem that even technology couldn't solve. You see, Arthas wasn't just any other villain, because his story started all the way back in Warcraft 3 and was foreshadowed through much of World of Warcraft. He'd always been there, sitting on his throne with what is probably the coolest sword known to man. But after beating Arthas, his story and a huge part of what made Warcraft so special was gone. If World of Warcraft was going to carry on, Blizzard would need to fill the giant void Arthas left behind. But I mean, what do you do after 6 years of setup for the Lich King? I mean, are you going to send some giant dragon with anger issues out of nowhere to completely destroy the entire planet?
Yeah, let's do that one. Yeah.
That'd just be stupid. Well, okay then. Apparently that's exactly what they do. However, during development of World of Warcraft's third expansion, Blizzard gets acquired by one Activision CEO, Bobby Kotick.
Our responsibility is to bring joy and fun to people around the world.
Now, for the next 20 seconds, I have no choice but to speedrun you through the corporate nightmare that is Activision Blizzard, so bear with me because I promise you this is important to World of Warcraft's future. Alright, so in 1991, Blizzard becomes a real company through the power of friendship. Then in 95, a company whose only talent seems to be buying other companies buys Blizzard. But when we hit the 2000s, Bobby's company, Activision, starts making gazillions by spamming the ever-loving bejesus out of their franchises. We're talking your Spider-Man, your Guitar Heroes, your Happy Meal toys, and of course, your Call of Duties.
You want the gloves off? They're off.
Except if you look closely, you'll notice that none of those franchises have an MMO that specializes in what Bobby wants most.
Money!
Now this makes Bobby mad. So in 2008, he merges with the Talentless company to get all of their companies and renames the new company to Activision Blizzard. And now you're probably wondering what the big deal is. Well, as of 2008, nothing. I'll be honest, nothing really happens. But as of 2010, World of Warcraft's next expansion starts to move the game in a different direction. Now, on the positive side, having Deathwing, the giant murder dragon, blow up Azeroth turned out to be a really good in-world excuse to modernize a few zones and completely refresh others. In doing so, it creates a more welcoming environment for new players to join in and not feel lost from 6 years of content. Also, they give the Horde goblins to play as, and then they give the Alliance frickin' werewolves. So I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of in. I mean, who doesn't like werewolves, right? But Blizzard's goal to make the game more friendly for newcomers came with a few unexpected problems. They streamlined
I've used this analogy before. I just think it's a good one. So I'm going to say it again. It's really hard to continually advance an already really good product. So when you think of Call of Duty, you get a new Call of Duty every year. And if you come out with the best Call of Duty ever, you're still going to get a new Call of Duty the year after. If you get a really good WoW expansion, you're still going to get a new WoW expansion in 2 years after. So it's kind of like if you're given 1 year to make chess into a better game than chess already is and come out with chess 2, could you do it? Say by some miracle you do, but the next year after that, you're challenged with coming out with chess 3 and it has to be better than chess 2. And then say by some miracle you also do it. The year after, you have to come out with chess 4 and then chess 5. What I'm trying to say is it's really an impossible task by any real degree, right? There's no way. Like, so when a game is really good, and I think a game like Counter-Strike has done a very good job at this. So Counter-Strike doesn't change much year to year. They have a great product. People like it. People know it. They don't change almost anything. There are small changes here and there, but they realize they have a winning recipe, and they realize what it would mean to change that winning recipe. Right? But even CS2 is... I'm not a Counter-Strike player, so I could be a little off here. I could be a little out of the loop. But from my experience, watching CS2 is still very, 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 very close in design to what CSGO was, right? Like I said, I don't play Counter-Strike. I'm looking at it from afar, and it seems like that's the case. But what I'm saying is they're not trying to reinvent the wheel every year. And I think one of the things that gets companies like this in trouble is when every year you're trying to just like reinvent the wheel. And then the next year you're trying to reinvent the wheel again, and then again, and then again. It's like, that's not even realistic. That's impossible. Like, there's no way you're going to be successful doing that. Like, it's not even, you can't do it. Instead, very, very, very small iterations over time would probably be like a really good model to adapt in terms of creating a really good game. Here's the problem. The problem is you can't sell that as easily. You can't hype it up as much. There's nothing to put on the box. There's no new features all the time. There's no like crazy flashy, like, oh, we have dragons, we have delves, we have this and that. Like, we have all these new, because people buy the new stuff and they want to try new stuff. And when it comes to very, very, very small iterations, it's not exciting. It's not sexy, right? So that's the problem with it. It's not marketable. There's nothing for the marketing team to go and run with. So it's problematic. But I do think over a very long period of time, I would have to say it would probably make a better game, right? It would probably make a better game for very, 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 very small iterations year by year versus trying to reinvent the wheel.
Raid matchmaking, allowing anyone to just press a button to find a group, which sounds great on paper, but in practice caused newer players unknowingly disrupting what were already impossible raids.
Let's do this. Leroy Dragon!
And sure, they wiped the narrative slate clean with Deathwing's angry fire, but that just caused the connection to the story to feel like it came out of nowhere. And surprisingly, the problem with the biggest repercussions came from the in-game mounts.
StarCraft 2 Wings of Liberty made less money than the first Sparkle Pony horse in World of Warcraft.
That's crazy.
A $15 microtransaction horse made more money than StarCraft 2.
Yeah.
Wasn't that mount, by the way, just to be clear.
And unsurprisingly, this left a lot of fans with foresight for the future feeling salty.
Fucking best mount in the game. I don't even care. I don't even care. This makes me mad.
See, previously you'd buy World of Warcraft and the expansion, pay a monthly sub, and away you went.
Excited. Very excited.
This albeit an
I don't know if I've seen that video. Was he mad that they put in Heart of the Aspects as, like, it's a really cool golden mount, and he was mad they put it in for cash? Or was that the... I don't know if I actually ever saw that video. Is that what happened? That's why his hair disappeared? He poured salt on it? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Okay, this might be a crazy hot take. I think in a perfect world, if you pay for a monthly sub, there's no other cost associated things at all with the game because you pay for a monthly sub. Okay, we're done. But I actually don't mind cash shop items that much if it doesn't affect gameplay. If you can't buy something that an achievement gives you, if you can't buy a title that an achievement gives you, if you can't buy gear, if you can't buy gold, if you can't buy character level boost, if you can't buy anything that actually changes your character's power level, that actually doesn't bother me that much. So say you buy a mount that's exclusively on the mount shop and you pay real life money to get a mount shop mount, and there's no other way to obtain that mount in the game. So you can't get it from you can't get it in game. It's only on the store. And you want to support your favorite video game by buying a mount that everyone knows that you bought because you can only get it from the store. I actually don't have too much issues with that, to be honest. I don't. I think it's not like my favorite thing, but I don't. It's not going to make me upset. What is going to make me upset is if there's things obtainable in the game that that you can buy with real life money, right? Or player power changes. So buying gold, I think, is bad. Buying character boost, I think, is bad. Selling things that you can obtain in the game with gold, I think, is bad. Right? Very, very different.
intuitive strategy financially incentivized Blizzard to make great content, because if they didn't, then no one would buy the expansion, which of course would put them in a lot of trouble. Except with this new microtransaction-based strategy, that was no longer the case. Because if they were able to make something in 5 minutes with one person that outsold something that takes an entire department to make in 7 years, well,
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Regardless, Cataclysm sold a record-breaking 3.3 million copies in a single day and regained 10 of the 12 million subscribers that Arthas gave Blizzard. So technically, World of Warcraft was safe.
Let me go home and put the heck out of this thing.
But when we look closer, we can see players weren't as satisfied as they once were. Sure, Azeroth was completely revamped, but no one really experienced it necessarily. Players just sort of logged in and, oh, I guess I spawn here now. Also, the whole murder dragon that destroys the entire planet narrative, it just kind of fizzles out like a Disney movie, which it isn't even a bit. It straight up has the same castle and firework ending.
You are Azeroth's true guardians, and the future of this world is in your hands.
Who greenlit that? But let's be real, okay? After amazing expansions like Burning Crusade or the Wrath of the Lich King,
feels great.
Players were fine tolerating a so-so expansion.
I've been waiting long enough. 10.5-hour shift to work. 6-hour wait for the game. It's a good day.
Because they knew Blizzard was cooking the next big expansion with awesome characters who used crazy magic, wielded the sickest swords, or whatever the heck Green Jesus is apparently capable of. You see, after taking down Benedict Cumberbatch, the world was hyped for whatever insane, muscle-bound, fire-breathing Warcraft setting Blizzard was cooking next.
Pandas!
Is this actually the game?
All right, bro. Like, here's the thing. I think Mist of Pandaria is one of my favorite personal expansions of all time. I'm a little emotional when I say that, or I mean, I'm not getting emotional right now. I have emotions tied to MoP because it's when I started my stream. It's when I started my YouTube channel. I really liked it, for at least for PvP and for content creation. I mean, Soda Poppin was streaming, Wreckful was streaming. It was a good time. MoP was a great time, right? It was awesome. Having said all that, I do agree that when you are making the WoW universe and you start adding things like pandas, Vulperas, like Drakthir into the game, it does give it a different feel. And I'll use the word different, like, hey, maybe some people like it or some people don't, but I will say it changes the WoW, the feel of the WoW universe, and that's a very risky thing to do. I'll at least say that. It's a very risky thing to do, because you have a winning recipe like we talked about. Okay, let's start changing that recipe by making it a little more Disney. And I think a lot of players today, and I don't think this bothers a lot of people. I think there's like a subset of people maybe it bothers, and maybe I'm one of those, the subset, but it makes the game feel a lot more Disney, right? Like you have pandas running around, and you have Vulperas running around, and you like all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, what happened to like orcs versus humans, right? Bothers me. Yeah, so there's some people it bothers, and there's some people that it doesn't, right? Red alert, Arcane just got nerfed. Oh no. Really? The patch isn't even out yet. How did Arcane already get nerfed? Like, we're not even online. I didn't even get to experience it. Anyway, we'll check the Arcane nerfs after this video. Oh my goodness.
Okay, so apparently pandas are in. Now, while this is 1000% a curveball, Mists of Pandaria came packed with a surprising amount of goodies. First off, Master Shifu is beyond thrilled. Next, the game adds the Pandarin as a faction-fluid playable race capable of using the new Monk class, which is a first for the series. They center the game's theme around Chinese culture and architecture that, quite frankly, looks incredible. And lastly, they add a Pokemon pet battle system.
So here's a look at what it would look like. This is just a mock-up.
Wait, the whole crowd is laughing when they announced pet battles. The whole crowd is actually just laughing.
So here's a look at what it would look like. This is just a mock-up.
Bro, people are just laughing.
Okay, I won't lie, the new direction is a little surprising, but it looks like it technically still works. I mean, the expansion sells 2.7 million copies in just a week and returns the sub count right back to 10 million. So yeah, Mists of Pandaria is technically a success. But if you're like me, you might be wondering why the heck Blizzard would go from something like this to this.
The pet battle system takes all pets and merges them into a Pokemon-like system of turn-based combat, collection, and leveling.
Well, it turns out North America wasn't the only one who loved World of Warcraft, because when you look at the subscription data, you can see China accounted for a huge piece of that pie. With that in mind, the idea to embrace Chinese culture starts making a ton of sense. And in fairness, pandas were technically a thing in Warcraft 3.
I bring pandemonium!
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, they were kind of awesome. Dude. However, even though this expansion had a lot of interesting features, it also marked the beginning of a bigger shift in Blizzard's design. The game was now more accessible, more vibrant, and more colorful.
They looked at it and said, this isn't the Warcraft I know. The Warcraft I know is about orcs and humans and dragons, and this feels like a different game. This feels almost childish.
It supported more gimmicky features like the pet battle system, meant to bring in a newer, younger audience.
I feel like they just kind of gave it a theme to attract more players that are new to the game, but it's not so much for experienced players that are already in it.
And that monetization train, it didn't seem to be slowing down any time soon. Make no mistake, Mists of Pandaria seems to be a solid expansion by all accounts, but its direction seemed to be drifting World of Warcraft further away from what appealed to the core fans.
Like I don't know a single person that's saying, oh, pandas, I'm gonna play this game for the pandas.
A mistake Hollywood forced Blizzard to fix in the next expansion. We are halfway through World of Warcraft's expansion, and it looks like this one's gonna be a big return to what made Warcraft Warcraft. I mean, look at this trailer.
We will never be slaves!
It's packed with so much testosterone that even Joe Rogan wants in on it. Now this change clearly worked because Warlords of Draenor sells a record-breaking 3.3 million copies in a single day and brings those juicy subscriptions right back up to 10.5 million players.
Nice. Nice.
So Blizzard's gotta be feeling pretty good, right? Well, not exactly. You see, World of Warcraft started getting so huge that around this time, Hollywood's working on an official movie, and to capitalize on all of that player hype, they decide to set that movie in a date and time 90% of players were completely unaware of. So to help fans unaware of the movie's incredibly strange timeline choice, Blizzard sets this expansion in an alternate timeline 35 years in the past. That's right, somehow World of Warcraft, the fantasy game, now has time travel. Okay?
What's wrong with you?
Just wait for Chromie, man. Just wait.
At this point in World of Warcraft story, you've stopped Illidan, Arthas, Smaug, and you've imprisoned some new orc war chief, Garrosh Hellscream, for being kind of evil. Well, in this expansion, Garrosh magically escapes and somehow travels back in time to stop his dad, Grommash Hellscream, heck of a name by the way, from drinking this demon blood and also turning evil. And together, as definitely not evil people, the two team up to build the Iron Horde in order to take over Azeroth. Now, do you have any idea how much World of Warcraft lore I had to read to find out why a giant bald orange orc man was capable of using time travel in a world that looked like Middle-earth?
No one knows, bro.
Because the answer was too much.
Yeah.
And what's worse is, it doesn't even seem to matter.
Yeah, this makes me mad.
Because everything about this expansion seems to just implode on itself with barely any...
Bro, I remember watching a WoW video of, I can't remember who it was, but it was one of the WoW lore experts. And basically they were really upset because they had no idea what was going on in the lore. and their job was to read the lore and follow the lore and make videos about the lore. Was it Noble? I might have been. I don't remember. I remember watching it from like a year or two ago. It might have been Noble. Yeah, but basically the video was like, I don't know what's going on or how we got here, and it's literally like that's like the lore people saying that. Yeah, so for someone like me, like I'm screwed, guys. Yeah.
Content causing subscription numbers to fall off a freaking cliff.
Yeah.
So in fear of losing more subscribers, Blizzard just decides to give up halfway through and focus on the next expansion. Which, like, okay, sure, but now, like me, you're probably wondering what the heck this expansion even did. Well, it updates the character models to look less nightmare-y and brings the magic of the Sims games to World of Warcraft through a new base building feature that they call garrisons.
The garrison was a persistent space of your own in the world that you could...
Alright, like, dude... Alright, so I've touched on this like multiple times in the video. When you have a winning recipe, you don't want to change it, right? I've said that at least like 3 or 4 times now. One of the things personally that made WoW, that has made modern WoW tough for me is, and I might be in the minority here. This might be like an old person being all cranky or something, like the graphic update in Warlords of Draenor, making everything look cartoony, still is hard for me. Still, it's been 10 years since they did this, maybe 9 or something, 8 or 9. It's been a long time. It's been almost a decade, and it's still, I still think about it like weekly. Like when I log in, I'm like, like that's crazy. It's been almost a decade, man. Like, still, dude. Like I've given it time to try to get, and at the end of the day, it doesn't affect the gameplay. It doesn't really affect the raid or the mythic pluses or the arenas or like, you know, it doesn't, but like it's just the feel and the vibe when you log in and it's Disney versus WoW. It still gets me, bro. Still.
Customize as you saw fit.
Because as you can probably tell, people who like this...
I'm coming up with 32.33, repeating of course, percentage of survival.
And people who like this... would clearly be the same person. Also, for roughly the same price as the expansion itself, players can now pay to boost any character to level 90 or buy in-game gold, which is the game's currency, with real money using a new currency called the WoW token.
It's a way for players to exchange with each other time for in-game currency.
I fundamentally love when games add multiple levels of currency to their game. It's always a great sign. Always. Because why play years of critically acclaimed content when you can just buy your way through with zero context of what's actually happening? Now, how do players take this? Not well. In fact, the only positive thing I could find about Warlords of Draenor seems to be the Joe Rogan trailer. Like I said before, after players saw how little content the expansion really had, subscriptions fell so far that Blizzard just stopped reporting them altogether. To this day, no one knows the official subscription numbers because of how bad this expansion bombed.
This expansion was terrible. Almost all of the tier list videos have this is the worst.
I agree. Warlords of Draenor is probably my least favorite overall expansion. I have been playing WoW since 2004. I've played pretty much the entire time. I've played all of the expansions, and the only expansion I really quit in was Warlords of Draenor. And I didn't quit once or twice. I quit 3 times. I quit. I played Arena for a couple of weeks or months, and then decided that it just wasn't doing it for me, so I quit. I came back at the end of the season, got rank 1, and then quit again. And then it was like 3, 4, 5, 6 months later, I came back, quit again. Just like I couldn't handle that expansion. And then I ended up coming back for what was after WoD? Legion, and I liked it a lot better. I liked it a lot better. It wasn't perfect. Legion had I still complained in Legion for sure, but at least it was bearable. What was the reason though? So it was the pruning expansion. So I mean, this might be, so I have very specific reasons I didn't like Warlords of Draenor, and it might be different than a lot of people watching. So back in WoD, I was, competing in WoW, playing tournaments, playing arenas, RBGs, whatever it was. And they took the number of spells that you had and they cut it back. And so they got rid of like 30% of player spells or something. And for Mage, they got rid of blanket counterspell, so like counterspell silencing, and they got rid of deep freeze. Essentially, deep freeze broke on damage, so they got rid of the use of deep freeze as a stun. It was more of like an end cap since it broke on damage. So they made deep freeze more of an end cap, and they made silence not silence. And for me, it's like, bro, it was tough, So that was probably like the biggest reason, I think, taking away mage tools like that. And I'm actually these days an advocate of, you don't want button bloat. There's a such thing as too many buttons, and there's such thing as too little buttons. But if you remove buttons, they have to be removing the right buttons, right? So like right now, if you got rid of Comet Storm, I wouldn't be that mad. If you got rid of Glacial, I wouldn't be that mad. If you got rid of Ice, if you got rid of Ray of Frost, I wouldn't be that mad. Like there's certain abilities, I'm like, if you got rid of it, like I wouldn't be like that mad. But when you take away like the core of the class, in my opinion, for at least from the PvP perspective, it was tough. It was tough. Anyway, so I quit. And Legion came out, and I thought the pacing, you got more abilities back. I thought the pacing felt a little bit better. And so anyway, that's why, if you wanted the answer.
Something new happened.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Fire!
Oh, fire! Oh my goodness!
See, those subscriptions, they just kept falling. And falling.
Yeah.
And falling. Just try better expansion. Just make it. I know how to do this. Shut up. This is emergency.
Then we got Mythic Plus.
Okay, so in an act of what looks very much like desperation, Blizzard goes back to the drawing board and basically tries to recreate all of these expansions while simultaneously trying to forget these, which causes them to bring Illidan back using the magic of plot and drop one of the sickest trailers they've had in a long time. I mean, everything about that trailer is just mwah, so it has to be good, right? Well, the answer is yes, because Blizzard pulls out all the frickin' stops. They bring back Burning Crusades Illidan. They add a new Demon Hunter class like they did in Lich. They add new artifact weapons to let players craft iconic Warcraft weapons for themselves. They add the giant and beautiful city of Suramar to explore. And because the Burning Legion is back, they add super cool invasions that happen sporadically in the world that anyone can take part of.
That was such uber ponage.
I mean, this was one of the first expansions I ever had, and like I remember going in, you'd see the invasions and everything was just sick, and you felt like you were part of something, and it was like, it felt awesome. Legion is sick. So it's not a shock whatsoever to see that Legion sells 3.3 million copies in a single day, proving that World of Warcraft was not only back, but it was safe once again. Finally, Blizzard devs could see their families again.
They did it! Our world is safe!
Except, despite how much Legion did right, and believe me, it did a lot of things right. World of Warcraft was turning 12 years old, and with all that age came a lot of bloat, overly complicated.
How come no one says pwned anymore? I don't know. I mean, yeah, words go in and out. Dude, I don't know if I've told this story before. It's a little embarrassing, but as a kid, I thought it was pronounced pooned. So I remember saying pooned, and then my parents were like, you can't say that. I was like, get pooned. Yeah, no, I'm dead serious. I'm not kidding. I was like 14 and I was like, get pooned, noob. I don't know. So anyway, pwned. That's how it goes.
Complicated systems dedicated to the most hardcore players, an influx of microtransactions in 20 different currencies, and social features being somehow eradicated in favor of more accessibility.
In an effort to achieve more accessibility,
we kind of removed some of the reasons why you needed to play with the same group of people over and over.
You see, the direction Blizzard started with Cataclysm and through other expansions had finally caught up with them. Their audience was no longer the same audience that they started with.
Yeah, I got the laptop in the car so I can load it on the way, in all honesty.
Because at this point, it looked like they had completely split into different directions. And some of those people started asking questions.
Have you ever thought about adding servers for previous expansions as they were then?
No. And by the way, you don't want to do that either. You think you do, but you don't.
Bro, this is when Nostalrius had like, how many signatures did Nostalrius have on that petition? Like 100,000 or 500,000? Like it was so many. Everyone's playing Nostalrius. You're playing classic WoW. Everyone just wanted to play classic, you know? A million? No, it didn't have a million signatures, did it? Probably like 250K or something.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, straight up telling your most dedicated customers at an event that they paid to be at that they were the ones that were actually wrong?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for them.
But despite Blizzard's response of knowing exactly what's best for the average World of Warcraft player, they also realized that maybe they did stray a little far from the old days of Alliance versus Horde.
You are Azeroth's true guardians.
Seriously though, who greenlit that? So, with Battle for Azeroth, their idea is, and please stop me if you've heard this before, to go back to what made Warcraft. I mean, look, even the cover art is a reference to the original Warcraft games. But I'm not gonna lie, there's something I just don't understand in this situation. See, after 14 years of expansions, the Alliance and Horde have overcome the world ending like 7 times. They killed a Lich together, a Demon Hunter, a Lord of the Rings character. They figured out time travel. Oh yeah, and a god the size of a planet stabs the world with his sword. Which, yeah, by the way, that happened. So I guess my question for the whole bringing back the Alliance versus Horde hating each other thing would be, why? Why? Why?
Our responsibility is to bring joy and fun to people around the world.
Now, normally I disagree with Bobby, but when combining the pitch
That
of
clip
this
is so
expansion with the hype that Legion built, Battle for Azeroth sells a record-breaking 3.4 million copies.
All right, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I think Battle for Azeroth had the best cinematic, I think, of any cinematic I've seen from WoW. L-Take, dude, I love it. I love it. I know there's some people that, dude, I love it, man. It's so good. When Sylvanas, well, I'm thinking of the right one, right? When Sylvanas screams for the Horde, like, bro, right? Like, bro, we need to watch it. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? Do you guys need me to play this? It's the most replayed moment. It's right here. Hands down, my favorite cinematic trailer WoW has ever put out. Now, I'm not saying my favorite expansion was BFA. I'm not saying BFA was the golden era. I'm not saying like BFA owned. I'm saying this trailer is my favorite trailer. Like, you've got to be kidding me if you don't like that. Like, yeah, there we go. And then we have the Anduin one, which is definitely not as cool. For me, bro, like, this encapsulated everything WoW was about. It's like, for the Horde, for the Alliance, like, it just felt like a perfect WoW trailer. So yeah, I will stand by it. BF8 was my favorite WoW trailer. Actually, legit, 100%. And it's been, and I like, there's no recency bias here. It's been many years. We've had other great trailers, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Like, BFA trailer owned. There it is.
Copies in its first day. So clearly people wanted this because Battle for Azeroth not only becomes the fastest selling World of Warcraft expansion ever made, but it also becomes the fastest selling PC game ever. Except nothing about this expansion made any sense, because aside from the initial pitch, everything was lame. And if we look back to what worked before, then technically Battle for Azeroth shouldn't even be working. The leader of the Alliance went from the sickest looking dude I've ever seen in my life to someone I can only guess does not like the touch of sand.
It's coarse and rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
The leader of the Horde,
man, I need to rewatch that. It's been too long. Oh, it was so
is now
good.
a frickin' banshee that
so
commits
good.
genocide because the equivalent of a rude comment. And when she's finally confronted by an army, she just kills the main guy while everyone else watches, and then somehow pulls a Team Rocket by blasting off again. So yeah, nothing about this expansion makes any sense. The story feels forced, the community's more split than ever, the leads are basically Looney Tune characters, and the game was the most bloated it had ever been. There had to be more to the story, and it turns out there was. You see, World of Warcraft subscription numbers get leaked for the first time since Draenor, and let me tell you, it's not good. You see, Battle for Azeroth may have brought in sales with a great pitch, but it also dropped World of Warcraft subscription numbers to the lowest point in the game's history. The players had spoken. They weren't happy. And if Blizzard wanted to keep the game alive, they'd have to do something drastic.
Cookies and cream is actually my all-time favorite dessert. But I understand that for some of you, your favorite flavor is vanilla.
Chills, man, chills. I've told this story a few times. I was there in person. I've been to most BlizzCons over the last, whatever. And I was there in person that year. And I shed a little tear, man. Yeah. I was like, we get to replay the game that I played when I was 12. I cried a little bit, man, when I heard that. I had tears in my eyes, and I looked around, and everyone else was crying too. It wasn't just me. It wasn't just me. It was a crazy moment. It was a crazy moment to be like, we can relive the WoW that we've always wanted to play. It was nuts. It was nuts.
Wow. I mean, to go from the guy who said that everybody else was wrong and that they knew the answer the entire time, only to be that same guy on stage giving them exactly what they wanted.
You don't want to do that.
That might be one of the most embarrassing things I've ever seen. But I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that players were A-okay with that.
Feels great.
Now, for those of you who don't know, in 2019, Blizzard brings grown men to tears by doing the unthinkable and completely
brings grown men to tears, guys. I'm not the only one, chat. All right, it's a big emotional moment to relive your childhood, guys. I grew up in Elwyn Forest. I wanted to go back, and we did. It was fantastic.
Reviving the original World of Warcraft exactly as it was in 2004, which is insane.
Oh, I started tearing up.
Wait, why is everyone in chat saying I'm not a grown man? Guys, I'm 31. How am I not a grown man? What is going on? I'm still crying? Oh, so you've been crying for 5 years? What do you mean? I'm 31, chat. I have a child. How is that not a grown man? Unbelievable.
I really did, and I barely heard about the new expansion.
Because the only other company I can think of that's done anything like this is the Halo guys, and we saw exactly how that turned out, didn't we? It still hurts to this day. But this was a way bigger deal than most people thought, because for the very first time in World of Warcraft history, players could actually compare what Classic did versus what Retail did without any of the magic of nostalgia. It wasn't some theoretical member berry anyone could shrug off anymore. Because the differences were clear. You see, when it came to Classic, World of Warcraft didn't feel like a game to players. It surprisingly seemed to come off more like an early social network with plenty of earnable accolades to show off your hard work.
What got you the role in Twisters? Yeah, I see why you got the role.
Whereas Retail was kind of the complete opposite. It was a mess of microtransactions, confusing plot lines meant to pump subscriber numbers up, and 20 different underlying gameplay systems tailored to multiple highly specific groups of people.
It's just simply not something I'm not interested in anymore.
Seriously, Retail had to maintain the pet battle fans, the garrison fans, the artifact fans, the PvP fans, the PvE fans, the mount fans, the flying mount fans, and raid fanatics who were obsessed with playing the game with hundreds of screen cluttering add-ons.
Like, honestly, I'm just amazed that the Blizzard devs are still alive, quite frankly.
Except here's the real kicker. It really wouldn't matter which version anyone liked more because Blizzard decides to support them all. If the developers barely saw their families before, it was about to get a lot worse. In 2020, Shadowlands brings the Lich King back only to be killed instantly so his helmet can open a giant portal to the afterlife. In 2021, everyone calls in sick again to experience the Dark Portal one more time. In 2022, Arthas returns despite what Shadowlands just told us, and Dragonflight creates an entirely new audience. In 2023, Blizzard confuses everyone once more by making yet another version of Classic. And in 2024, they join the Battle Royale craze 7 years too late, bring back Benedict Cumberwing, and also drop the War Within expansion as the first of an upcoming 6-year trilogy that acknowledges the giant sword-shaped elephant in the room. You see, the game just keeps going. And going. But the real question...
I wonder if we're going to hit a peak higher than Classic relaunching in 2019. Because, like, thinking back, bro, that was a peak. Like, that might have been the peak. Like, that 2019 Classic relaunch was insane. I think we had over 1 million concurrent viewers on Twitch? Not that Twitch numbers are necessarily one-to-one related with the success of a video game, but hey, there's probably a pretty good correlation. I think there was over 1 million viewers on Twitch at one time. Someone said 1.4 million. I think it was like well over 1 million viewers on Twitch, which is like insane. So like when War Within came out, I think it peaked at 200K or something. And War Within was a great success. It has been a great success. So Classic in 2019 did 5, 6, maybe 7 times that. Like, it was unfathomably large. It was crazy. I wonder if we'll ever see that again. I don't know. Maybe Blizzard has something for us. Who knows? Yo, Salty, thanks for the prom.
And we all want to know is why?
Oh, I was gonna say, what's next?
The most obvious answer has always and will always come down to money, which when we do the math is kind of hard to argue. Assuming you played from the day that the game released, bought every expansion, and never missed a month of subscriptions, you would have spent around $3,667.60.
I did this math the other day. This is kind of where I'm at. Yeah, I've been subscribed to WoW since 2004. Pretty much the whole time. I have unsubbed here and there, like I said a few times in Warlords, but I might have kept my sub going. I just wasn't really playing. I just had the sub rolling in the background. And then I actually did quit a little bit in Wrath, not because I didn't like it, but I was in high school and I, wanted to meet some friends and go to parties and stuff. And turns out that was a complete waste of time. So I restarted my sub again, and it's been great. So,
or when you account for the 20 years of compounding inflation, $4,968.38.
No. But okay, his facial expression is like that's a bad thing, dude. Okay, so say you spent 5 grand, which is probably where I'm at. I have probably 1,500 days played on WoW. That's pretty conservative, I would say. So I have 36,000 hours. 5 grand for 36,000 hours. That's actually pretty cheap, right? Like how much per hour? 5 grand divided by 36,000. Is it 13 cents an hour? Am I doing this right? That is insanely cheap. It's been, yeah, 5 grand over 20 years, since 2004. That's kind of insane. Yeah. Wait, is it the opposite way around? Is it, I want the cost per hour, cost divided by hour. No, I think that's right. Yeah, no, that's right. 13 cents an hour, bro. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, like it seems like a lot, but my point is, it's actually okay. Maybe I'm on pure copium. I don't think it's maybe I'm pure copium. You had it right. Chat is dumb. No, dude, it's the opposite. No, you're right, guys. It's cost per hour. Cost over hour. Per is the okay. Let's keep watching.
You what? Except money isn't the cause, it's the result. Because the real answer is much simpler than that. Looking back, World of Warcraft is at its best when it focuses on core MMO gameplay with a grounded Warcraft story players can experience together. And it's clearly at its worst when it focuses on everything outside of that, like gimmicky systems, monetization, or endings that bring a smile to Disney. Yet at the heart of every good and less good expansion has always been the exact same thing. People. People who lined up hours at a midnight launch just to play early.
Waiting for the World of Warcraft expansion to come out.
Who collectively...
Dude, this guy...
launched just to play early.
Waiting for the World of Warcraft...
He has his girl sitting on his lap in a leather jacket, hair slicked back, early 2000s, waiting for the WoW expansion to launch. Are you kidding me? Like, this is Peekaboo. No, Peekaboo wasn't born yet. That's pretty crazy. What a Chad. This guy probably has like multiple rank 1 titles too. Like multiple gladiator mounts. Ahead of the curve. Not even a challenge for this guy.
Warcraft expansion to come out.
Who collectively called in sick to go through the dark portal with everyone else.
Now buy it, go set it up, and play all night long.
Who started friendships with a simple wave. Who screened Leroy Jenkins. Who bought this specific mouse or built an overly expensive PC only to play this specific game.
What are these Starforged strays? What are we talking about? This is, guys, if you guys want a brand new PC, we got a Starforged link in the chat. There it is. Enjoy.
You see, it all comes down to people. Blue-collar workers, white-collar workers, celebrities, moms, dads, or people who use table salt to protest $25 mounts. Okay, maybe that was just Asmon. You see, it didn't matter if you liked cookies and cream or if you liked vanilla, because World of Warcraft was never just a game.
Like, sure, it's a job, sure, we got a company to run, we got a product to put out, but that's not the point.
I got like 7 of my friends in a WoW. My ex-girlfriend, emphasis on the ex.
Without the community, WoW just wouldn't be what it is.
I love WoW. I'll always love WoW.
I love World of Warcraft.
I will always love WoW.
WoW was like a huge part of who I was.
I am a WoW Andy through and through.
It's a place people could call home.
I'm a simple man, okay? I love World of Warcraft.
That's where I met my husband, actually.
Got a lot of memories attached to it.
And I go back to it all the time.
So I'm going to play WoW.
Let me go home and put a heck out of this thing.
It's that simple.
We're all kind of united by this space, that we spend a lot of time in, and that's a very special thing.
There's the Sylvanas cameo.
And as long as that door stayed open,
I think you're going to be seeing pictures of me in this for quite a long time.
it'd always be unstoppable. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. If you like this video, then you're definitely going to want to check out how Call of Duty became unstoppable next. As always, you're beautiful, you're goose-tastic, and keep it cute.
I'm a
now
goose.
we can finally play the game. Oh yeah.
Okay, that was a really good video. It was really well edited, but I will say that I don't know if it really answers the question how it became unstoppable. It more just took us through each expansion and, you know, briefly explain what it did well or poorly, but it didn't necessarily answer the question. I thought the video was going to more take an angle of like, you know, it released at the right time, or there was like some magic in the company in that era, or like the art style, or like something kind of philosophical. It was more just it released expansions. Okay. You know, still a good video, very well edited.